2 days after the fire, a car arrived at Yara's apartment in Brooklyn. Not just any car. A Mercedes S-Class with diplomatic plates and a driver who looked like he'd killed people professionally. Miss Mensah. He handed her an envelope. Mr. Volkov requests your presence for dinner. Tonight. 8 p.m. Non-negotiable. Yara stared at the envelope. Who's Mr. Volkov? The man whose life you saved. He wishes to express his gratitude personally. Tell him he's welcome. Gratitude expressed. We're done. The driver smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Mr. Volkov doesn't take no for an answer. Especially not from his angel. The car will return at 7:30. Please be ready. He left before Yara could argue. Inside the envelope was a dress Valentino still tagged in her exact size. And a note in elegant script. You saved my life. Let me thank you properly. K. Yara threw the dress on her couch and called her captain. The guy from the penthouse fire, who was he? Captain Rodriguez was quiet for too long. Why are you asking? Because he sent a car and a dress and wants to have dinner. Jesus, Mensah. Stay away from Konstantin Volkov. Far away. He's a businessman. Import-export. Real estate. Legitimate on paper. Unofficially. Rodriguez lowered his voice. He's Bratva. Russian Mafia. Upper echelon. The kind of dangerous where people disappear and bodies never get found. Whatever he wants, say no. I did say no. Then say it louder. And maybe move apartments for a while. At 7:30 the Mercedes returned. Yara didn't answer her door. At 7:45 her phone rang, unknown number. Miss Mensah. The voice was deep, smooth with that accent she'd heard in the smoke. You're being rude to my driver. I don't appreciate rudeness to my people. I don't appreciate being summoned like I'm one of your people. You're not one of my people. You're my angel. That's higher. More important. More. He paused, searching for a word. Sacred. I'm a firefighter who did her job. That's all. No. You ran into a burning building when your colleagues said to wait. You carried me down 6 flights when protocol said leave me. You breathed life into my lungs when I was already dead. That's not a job. That's divine intervention. His voice softened. Please. One dinner. Let me thank you. Let me understand who you are. Then if you want, I'll never contact you again. Something in his tone made Yara hesitate. Loneliness, maybe. Or genuine gratitude. Or the exhaustion of someone who'd seen death close enough to smell it. One dinner, she said finally. Public place. 1 hour. Then we're done. Agreed. The driver will take you to Russo's in Midtown. I'll meet you there. Russo's was the kind of restaurant where senators and CEOs made deals over $300 steaks. Yara arrived in jeans and her firefighter jacket, deliberately casual, refusing to wear the dress. The maitre d' looked horrified until Konstantin appeared. He was taller than she remembered, broader, with the kind of face that would have made him a movie star if he'd chosen differently. Dark hair, sharp cheekbones, eyes that calculated the value of everything they touched. But when he saw her, something in those eyes softened. You came. 1 hour. Clock's ticking. He smiled. Then I'll make it count. Dinner was strange. Konstantin asked about her. Her childhood in Accra, her immigration to New York at 15. Her father who'd been a firefighter and died saving a family from a burning school. He listened like every word mattered. Like her life was fascinating instead of ordinary. Why firefighting? He asked over dessert she didn't order but appeared anyway. Because my father taught me that the measure of a person is what they run toward when everyone else runs away. He ran toward fire. So do I. Even when running toward fire gets you killed? Even then. Konstantin studied her with those intense eyes. I ran away from fire. Left you to do the saving. Does that make me a coward? It makes you human. No one chooses how they react when they're dying. And yet you chose to save me. Why? Because that's what I do. No. He leaned forward. You could have waited for backup, could have followed protocol, could have saved yourself. But you didn't. You saw a stranger dying and decided his life mattered more than your safety. That's not training. That's character. That's... He reached across the table, his hand hovering near hers but not touching. That's the kind of person I've been looking for my entire life. Yara pulled her hand back. I'm not looking for anything. Especially not from someone my captain says makes people disappear. Your captain is right. I'm not a good man. I've done terrible things to survive in a terrible world. But you, his voice cracked slightly, you make me want to be someone different. Someone worthy of being saved by an angel. I'm not an angel. I'm just Yara Mensa, 28 years old. Brooklyn Fire Department, Ladder Company 156. Graduated top of your class. 13 confirmed saves in 4 years. No family except a younger brother in medical school. You're putting through Columbia. He smiled at her shocked expression. I told you. You're important to me. I needed to understand who you are. You investigated me. I protected you. There's a difference. Do you know how many people want revenge on Konstantin Volkov? How many would hurt you just to hurt me? He pulled out his phone, showed her surveillance photos. Men with guns watching her apartment, her firehouse, her morning coffee shop. I have 20 people keeping you safe right now. Have had since the fire. Because the moment you saved my life, you became part of my world whether you want to be or not. Yara's blood ran cold. I didn't ask for this. No. But I'm giving it anyway. Protection. Security. Money if you need it. Anything you want. Because I owe you a debt I can never repay, and in my world debts are sacred. I don't want your money or protection. I want you to leave me alone. Konstantin's expression shuddered. I can't. You saved my life. In my culture, that means your life is now tied to mine. Your enemies are my enemies. Your problems are my problems. Your safety is my responsibility. Forever. That's insane. That's tradition. That's honor. That's how men like me stay alive in a world designed to kill us. He stood, dropped a black credit card on the table. Dinner is paid for. The driver will take you home. And whether you accept it or not, you're under my protection now. Consider it the price of being an angel. He left before Yara could argue, leaving her alone with a $2,000 dinner bill, and the uncomfortable realization that she'd just become entangled with a man who thought he owned her soul. The men watching Yara's apartment were there the next morning. And the morning after that. After a week, she stopped pretending she didn't see them. Started nodding in acknowledgement. They nodded back. It was the strangest, most invasive safety she'd ever felt. Konstantin didn't contact her directly, but his presence was everywhere. Her student loans mysteriously paid off. Her brother's tuition covered for the semester. A new, safer apartment offered at below-market rent. A thank you from a grateful landlord, the agent claimed, but Yara knew better. He's buying me, she told her best friend Aisha over drinks. Paying off my life piece by piece. Or he's grateful, Aisha countered. You saved his life, girl. Rich people show gratitude differently. He's not just rich. He's criminal. Allegedly criminal. Has he been convicted of anything? Yara had checked. Konstantin Volkov's record was clean. Suspiciously clean. Multiple investigations, 0 convictions. Either he was innocent or untouchable. She suspected the latter. The first time she saw him after dinner was at a fire in Brighton Beach. Russian neighborhood, Russian restaurant, suspiciously Russian-looking arson. Yara and her crew were fighting the blaze when she spotted Konstantin across the street, watching with eyes that saw more than flames. After they'd contained it, he approached. Are you hurt? No. You. I wasn't inside this time. I've learned to be more careful. He smiled slightly. Thanks to you. Did you set this fire? No. But I know who did. Rivals. Sending messages. The usual theater of violence. He gestured to the burned building. 3 families lived above the restaurant. They're homeless now. I'll house them. Rebuild. Make sure they're taken care of. Does that make me a good man or a bad man trying to appear good? I don't know yet. Good. I'd worry if you trusted me easily. He pulled out a business card. This has my personal number. If you ever need anything at all, call me. Day or night. I'll answer. Why? Because you're my angel. And angels deserve protection, even from men like me. He walked away, leaving Yara holding a business card that felt heavier than it should. She called him 3 weeks later when her brother was mugged coming home from the hospital. Kojo was fine, bruised ego, stolen wallet, but scared. The kind of scared that made him talk about dropping out of medical school, about New York being too dangerous, about giving up. Yara dialed Konstantin's number at 2 a.m., not sure he'd answer. He picked up on the first ring. What's wrong? She told him. Hated herself for it, but told him. Address. Why? Because I'm going to handle it. Address Yara. She gave it to him. Hung up feeling like she crossed a line she couldn't uncross. By morning, Kojo's wallet was back. Cash intact, cards replaced. The muggers were in the hospital with broken arms, and a new understanding of whose brother they'd touched. And Konstantin had texted, "Your family is my family now. They'll never be hurt again." Yara called him. You can't just break people's arms. I can. And I did. They hurt your brother. That's not acceptable. That's not how justice works. Your justice takes months and usually fails. Mine takes hours and always works. Which would you prefer? She didn't have an answer. Come to dinner again, Konstantin said. Not Russo's. Somewhere private. My home. Let me cook for you. Let me show you that I'm more than the monster your captain described. Your home? Absolutely not. Then somewhere you choose. Coffee. Lunch. A walk in the park. I don't care where, Yara. I just want to be near you. To understand you. To prove that saving my life wasn't a mistake. Against every rational instinct, Yara agreed. They met at Prospect Park. Walked for hours talking about everything and nothing. Konstantin told her about growing up in Grozny during the Chechen Wars. About losing his family to violence. About coming to America with nothing and building an empire through sheer will and calculated ruthlessness. I'm not proud of everything I've done, he said quietly. But I'm alive. And in my world, survival is the only morality that matters. That's sad. Yes, it is. He looked at her. But then you saved my life, and for the first time I thought, maybe there's another way. Maybe I don't have to just survive. Maybe I can actually live. I can't save you from yourself, Konstantin. I know. But maybe you can show me what's worth living for instead of just surviving. They became friends. Unlikely, impossible friends. Konstantin would text her terrible Russian jokes translated badly into English. She'd send him videos of fire she'd fought, danger she'd survived. He'd show up at her firehouse with coffee and pastries, charming her crew until even the suspicious ones softened. And slowly, terrifyingly, Yara started to care about him. Not as a save. Not as a project. As a person. The first time they kissed was after a particularly bad fire where Yara had nearly died pulling out a child. She was shaking in the ambulance, adrenaline crash hitting hard, when Konstantin appeared. He sat beside her without speaking, just held her hand until she stopped trembling. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For being here. For understanding that I need silence more than words right now. I'll always be here. Whenever you need me. However you need me. She kissed him. Desperate and grateful and terrified of what it meant. He kissed her back like she was oxygen and he was still drowning. This is a terrible idea, Yara said when they finally broke apart. The best things usually are. Loving Konstantin meant entering his world. Not fully. He shielded her from the worst, but enough to understand what bratva really meant. It meant men who bowed when he entered rooms. It meant restaurants where everyone knew his name and feared it. It meant violence as currency and loyalty as religion. It meant a code of honor that was both brutal and strangely beautiful. "I want to show you something," Constantine said one night. "Something I've never shown anyone. But I need you to trust me." "How dangerous?" "To your body? Not at all. To your understanding of who I am? Completely." They drove to Brighton Beach, to a warehouse that looked abandoned. Inside it was transformed. A community center filled with Russian immigrants. ESL classes. Job training. Medical clinic. Children's programs. "This is what I do with the money," Constantine explained. "The money from the terrible things I do to survive. I funnel it here. Help people who came to America the way I did, desperate, afraid, with nothing. Give them what I wish I'd had. A chance." Yara walked through the center, seeing elderly Russians getting free healthcare, teenagers learning English, families receiving groceries. "How long have you been doing this?" 10 years. Since I had enough money to matter. Since I realized that surviving wasn't enough. I needed to help others survive too. This doesn't erase the bad things. I know. Nothing erases them. But maybe it balances them slightly. Maybe it means that when I die, I'll have done some good along with all the harm. You're not going to die. Everyone dies, Angel. The question is whether we die having mattered. That night in Constantine's penthouse, rebuilt after the fire, more security than a military base, they made love for the first time. It was intense and desperate, two people trying to prove they were more than their worst choices and best intentions. Afterward, lying in his arms, Yara asked the question she'd been avoiding. "What happens when your world comes for me? When loving you makes me a target? I'll burn down the world before I let anyone hurt you." That's not an answer. That's a threat. It's a promise. "You're mine now, Yara. My angel. My salvation. My responsibility. Anyone who touches you declares war on me. And I've never lost a war. I don't want to be the reason people die." "Then you're with the wrong man. Because I've killed for less than love, and I'll kill for you without hesitation." He tilted her chin up, forcing her to meet his eyes. "If that makes me a monster, I accept it. But I'm your monster now. And monsters protect what they love with tooth and claw." The attack came 2 weeks later. Yara was leaving her shift when the van pulled up. Men in masks. Guns. Hands grabbing her, dragging her inside. She fought, boxing from a self-defense class, firefighter strength, but there were too many. They took her to an abandoned building in Queens. Tied her to a chair. And a man with a Chechen accent explained that she was leverage. That Constantine had killed his brother. That he'd release her when Constantine came to die in her place. "He won't come," Yara said, trying to sound confident. The man laughed. "You don't know him at all, do you? Konstantin Volkov would burn the world for his angel. He'll come. And he'll die. And you'll watch." Konstantin came. But he didn't come alone. The building exploded with violence. Konstantin's men pouring in like a storm, gunfire and screams and chaos. Yara watched Konstantin fight his way to her, moving with the precision of someone who'd been training for war since childhood. He killed 3 men to reach her. Killed them without hesitation or mercy. "Are you hurt?" His hands were covered in blood, not his, as he cut her free. "No. Scared but not hurt." "Good." He kissed her forehead. "Close your eyes. Don't watch what comes next." But she did watch. Watched him execute the man who'd ordered her kidnapping. Watched him do it coldly, methodically, making it clear what happened to people who touched his angel. "I'm sorry," he said in the car afterward. "Sorry you had to see that. Sorry you're in danger because of me. Sorry I'm dragging you into darkness. I chose this. Chose you. You can still unchoose. I'll protect you from a distance. Make sure you're safe without being part of your life. You don't have to love a monster." Yar was quiet for a long time. Then, "My father used to say that monsters are just people who do monstrous things for understandable reasons. And that the real question isn't whether someone's a monster. It's whether they're your monster or someone else's. And You're my monster. For better or worse. I choose you. Constantine pulled the car over and kissed her like she was absolution and damnation in equal measure. 6 months into their relationship, the FBI came calling. Agent Morrison was professional, direct, and very clear about what they knew. Konstantin Volkov ran the largest Russian organized crime network on the East Coast. Drugs, weapons, human trafficking, though they couldn't prove the last one. They wanted Yara to testify, to provide evidence, to help them put away a man who'd evaded justice for 15 years. He saved my life too, you know, Agent Morrison said. Not literally like you saved his. But he pulled my partner out of a bad situation once. Didn't have to. Did it anyway. So I know he's capable of good. But good actions don't erase bad crimes, Miss Mensah. You know that. What do you want from me? Wear a wire. Get him talking about his business. Help us build a case. In exchange, immunity for you, protection, relocation if needed. And if I say no, then you're complicit. And when we eventually bring him down, and you go down with him. Yara told Konstantin about the FBI that night. He wasn't surprised. Morrison's been trying to make a case against me for years. What did you tell him? Nothing yet. I wanted to talk to you first. Do you want out? Of this relationship, this life, this danger? Because I'll understand. I'll protect you from the FBI, relocate you somewhere safe, make sure you're taken care of. But I can't ask you to choose crime over justice. Can't ask you to compromise your morals for me. What if I'm not choosing crime over justice? What if I'm choosing you over their version of justice? Konstantin took her hands. Tell me what you want, Angel. Really want. Not what you think I want to hear. Not what's morally easiest. What does your heart want? You. Despite everything. Despite knowing what you are and what you've done. I want you. Then here's what we do. I go legitimate. Real legitimate, not the fake version I've been pretending at. I shut down the operations Morrison cares about, the drugs, the weapons. Keep only the legal businesses and the community center. Work with him to take down the people actually trafficking humans, because I swear on my life, Yara, I've never been part of that. Build something real instead of just surviving in the shadows. You do that. I do anything for you. Become anyone for you. If going legitimate means keeping you in my life, then I'll burn down my empire and rebuild it clean. And if your people don't accept that, if they see it as weakness, then I'll deal with them. The way I dealt with the men who took you. I'm very good at sending messages. They spent the next year transforming. Konstantin worked with Agent Morrison, providing intelligence on rival organizations in exchange for immunity, shut down his illegal operations, turned his network into legitimate import-export in real estate, invested heavily in the community center, expanding it to 3 locations. There was violence. Konstantin's rivals saw his transition as vulnerability, tried to take his territory. He defended it brutally, proving that going legitimate didn't mean going soft. But slowly, methodically, he built something new. Something his Angel could be proud of. Yara continued firefighting, but also started working with Konstantin's community center, teaching fire safety and first aid, teaching Russian immigrants to save themselves because she couldn't save everyone personally. They got married quietly. Small ceremony in Brighton Beach, community members as witnesses, Agent Morrison as an unlikely guest. Konstantin's vows were in Russian, then English. You saved my life. Then you saved my soul. I'll spend the rest of my days being worthy of both. Yara's vows were simple. I ran into fire for you once. I'll keep running for you forever. 3 years after the wedding, Yara stood in the community center watching children learn English, immigrants receive health care, families rebuild lives. Konstantin stood beside her, his hand on her swollen belly. Their daughter, due in 2 months. Do you regret it? She asked. Giving up the power, the fear, the empire? Every day, he said honestly. And not at all. Power is empty if you have no one to share it with. Fear is lonely. The empire was just survival. But this, He gestured at the center, at her belly, at the life they'd built. This is living. You're going soft, Volkov. I'm going happy. There's a difference. Agent Morrison approached, older now, semi-retired. Thought you'd want to know. The Zakharov organization, the one Konstantin helped us dismantle, their leader got convicted. 40 years. Won't see daylight until he's ancient. Good, Konstantin said. How's retirement treating you? I'm not retired. I'm reformed. Different thing. Morrison laughed. Reformed. Sure. That's why you still have 20 armed men protecting this place. Legitimate security. I have permits. And the men who tried to rob this center last month? The ones who ended up in the hospital with creative injuries. Self-defense. Also permitted. You're impossible, Volkov. I'm possible enough. Ask my angel. After Morrison left, Yara pulled Konstantin close. You know you'll never be fully legitimate. There's too much darkness in your past. Too much blood on your hands. I know. But I'm trying. Every day, I'm trying to be the man you saw when you ran into fire to save me. The man worth saving. You were always worth saving. I just needed you to see it. Their daughter was born in spring. Dark eyes like her father, stubborn spirit like her mother. They named her Amara. Grace in Igbo. Immortal in Russian. A bridge between both their worlds. And when Konstantin held her for the first time, tears streaming down his face, Yara knew she'd made the right choice. Not the easy choice. Not the clean choice. But the right one. Because sometimes saving someone isn't about pulling them from fire. It's about showing them what's worth living for once the flames die down. Konstantin Volkov had called her his guardian angel. But really they'd saved each other. And in a world of darkness and fire and impossible choices, that was the only kind of redemption that mattered.